The Prophet of Islam, Mohammed, said in multiple reports, "Kill those who change their religion." And the blood of a Muslim who confesses that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah and that I am his apostle cannot be shed except in 3 cases. In retaliation for murder, a married person who commits illegal sexual intercourse, and the one who reverts from Islam and leaves the Muslims. We find these 2 reports in numerous sources, which is Islamic proof that Muhammad said it. Muhammad's words and reports about him are secondary or equal to the Quran, which is why this ruling has been an Islamic ruling forever, until modernity and human rights started being an obstacle to it. Some sources of our time try to tell us that the death penalty for apostasy was just something to be applied under Islamic empires that actively fight their enemies. But that is just a strategy to talk themselves out of it. Because the proponents of such arguments also believe that everyone should convert to Islam, and that if there is a Muslim majority, we should establish Islamic rule. And if Islamic rule is established, then we should spread Islam, which includes creating an empire. And if there is an Islamic empire and Islamic rule, it means kill those who leave Islam.
Yeah, Muhammad, he said, I've been ordered to fight all mankind until they say there's no God but Allah and there's no prophet but him, the scumbag. And then they pay the zakat and they do the salat, which means the prayer, and they forbid what we forbid, and then and only then I will stop killing them. Only then. That is the order of Muhammad. This guy, he don't want to live that horror movie. He think and he wish to live like a Western country, as a Western civilization where everybody free to be whatever he want. But that's cannot happen in Islamic countries. You cannot do that. Listen carefully now. What will happen to him if the other Muslims decide that he is not a Muslim no more? Let us say, what will happen to you if you are a Muslim and you don't pray no more? As an example, like ISIS, they don't kill Muslims just for fun. They kill Muslims who don't pray. They kill Muslims who don't pay zakat, which means the tax for the to the Islamic State. This is what Muhammad did, and this is what Abu Bakr did. They kill a Muslim if you don't practice fasting. Any of those who they are considered the most important things in Islam, if you stop doing them, it's mean you are an apostate. Even if you keep saying you are a Muslim, so you don't pray, we kill you. Not only we kill you, we eat you.
In regards to fighting those who don't believe in Allah until they accept Islam, this is regarding the pagans. That if the pagans who or the disbelievers fight against the Muslims, like the pagans of Quraysh, when they start fighting against the Muslims, they are not to be forgiven unless they embrace Islam, or unless the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ grants them a security or a pledge, like he has done to many people before them. Now, regarding the apostates, there is many narrations according to these different narrations which say that, in, for example, in Sahih Muslim, that Abdullah bin Mas'ud reported Allah's messenger as saying, it is not permissible to take the life of a Muslim who bears testimony to the fact that there is no God but Allah and I am the messenger of Allah. But in one of the 3 cases, the married adulterer, so one who commits adultery, who's married and commits adultery, is to be stoned to death. A life for a life, so that means if someone murders, you are allowed to take the life's murder as a punishment for him. And the deserter of his deen, Islam, abandoning the community. So meaning, not only does he leave Islam, but he also leaves the Muslim community. So that means, like at the time of Abu Bakr, when there are some Muslims who apostatize and start joining forces like Musaylama, the false prophet, and Sajjah, the false prophet, they started to go desert Islam, leave the Muslim community, and join these forces against the Muslim community. So, and CP, if you want to see in Arabic, here it says, وَالتَّارِكُ لِدِينِهِ الْمُفَارِقُ لِلْجَمَاعَةِ. Okay, al-mufariqu lil-jama'ati is not a fourth case. No, life is the same case with the one who leaves his religion and leaves the community. Okay, because there's only 3 cases the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, and this is part of the case of the one who deserted Islam. Not only does he desert Islam, if he deserts Islam but remains within the Muslim community, does not plan attacks against them, does not spy against the Muslim community, to plan against the enemies, then for this person he is not to be killed. Now, even if many Sahabas did this, remember the Sahabas sometimes also made mistakes, because some of them knew a hadith that others did not, because some Sahaba were with the Prophet in different events that others were not with him, right? For example, Uthman did not take part in the battle of Badr. So if Uthman, one of the companions of Prophet Muhammad who did not take part in the battle of Badr, would not know what happened in the battle of Badr, and would not have heard the Prophet Muhammad say something that others did not hear, right? If we go to another hadith, I can prove my point more. And as you can see in Sahih al-Bukhari here, okay, this is Sahih al-Bukhari, guys. This is the reference. Keep this in mind. I'll also try to post it, inshallah, in the link description. Narrated Abu Qibala. Okay, once Umar bin Abdul Aziz sat on his throne in the courtyard of his house so that the people might gather before him. Then he admitted them, and when they came in, he said, "What do you think of al-Qasama?" They said, "We say that it is lawful to depend on al-Qasama in qisas, meaning in taking life for life, as the previous Muslim Khalifs carried out qisas depending on it." Then he said to me, O Abu Qilaba, what do you say about it? He let me appear before the people, and I said, O chief of the believers, you have the chiefs of the army staff and the nobles of the Arabs. If 50 of them testified that a married man had committed illegal sexual intercourse in Damascus, but they had not seen him doing so, would you stone him? He said, no. I said, if 50 of them testified that a man had committed theft in Homs, would you cut off his hand though they did not see him? He replied, no. I said, by Allah. So now he's giving a half. So he's saying Wallahi right now. Allah's Messenger ﷺ never killed anyone except in one of the following situations. A person who killed somebody unjustly, okay, was killed in qisas, meaning life for life. A married person who commits illegal sexual intercourse, and a man who fought against Allah and His Apostle and deserted Islam and became an apostate. Now the wording here in narration shows us, and this again, and this is, I'm not making this up, this is Sahih al-Bukhari. Okay. Again, as we see that he's saying that the Prophet Muhammad did not kill a person except in 3 cases. A man who fought against Allah and His Apostle and deserted Islam. And this is actually true, because if you look at all the hadiths, nowhere do you see the Prophet Muhammad killing an apostate who basically did not fight against the Muslims. He basically fought those who fought against the Muslims. Then the people said, didn't Anas bin Malik narrate that Allah's Messenger ﷺ cut off the hands of thieves, branded their eyes, and then threw them in the sun? I said, I shall tell you a narration of Anas. Anas said, 8 persons from the tribe of Ukul, remember these people, guys? And this is the reason the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ killed these people, because they killed the shepherds and they deserted Islam. They became apostates after, while fighting against Allah and His Messenger. The tribe of Ukul to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and gave the pledge of allegiance for Islam. That means became Muslim, because as we see in other hadiths in Sahih Bukhari, the pledge of Islam is that to bear witness that Allah is one God, Muhammad is Prophet, to not kill to not kill a life without any haqq, to not commit adultery, to not steal. This is one of the pledges of Islam. When a person becomes Muslim, gives the pledge to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. The climate of Medina did not suit them, so they became sick and complained about that to Allah's Messenger. He said to them, won't you go out with the shepherds of our camels and drink of their camels' milk and urine as medicine? So Prophet ﷺ was doing good to them, right? And this, by the way, not only the Muslims came up with the idea that camel urine heals. This was also in the pre-Islamic periods. They used to use it as medication because they used to drink it. They said yes, so they went out and drank camel's milk and urine, and after they became healthy, they killed the shepherd. Notice, they killed the shepherd of Allah's Messenger ﷺ, and took away all the camels, stole the camels, This news reached the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, so he sent men to follow their traces, and they were captured and brought to the Prophet. He then ordered to cut their hands and feet, and their eyes were branded with heated pieces of iron, and then he threw them in the sun till they died. Okay, I said, what can be worse than what those people did? They deserted Islam, committed murder and theft. So here we can see Sahih al-Bukhari. Okay, and there's many narrations of this. There's many narrations, and even the non-Muslims here know what I'm talking about. The tribe of Ukul, and you all know this story because you try to use it to refute Muslims, but it refutes you back. Because the reason the Prophet ﷺ branded their eyes and cut their feet and made them die in this way is because when the Prophet was good to them, they killed the shepherd. They took a life unjustly, and what they did, they stole the camels, right? And as we can know, a person who killed, and this is a man who fought against Allah and his apostle, deserted Islamic composite. See, people will say, you're using the English version right now, come read the Arabic. Ahlan wa sahlan. Habibi, I'll read the Arabic and I will show you. أو رجل حارب الله ورسوله وارتد عن الإسلام. A man, the Prophet has killed people in three cases: a man who a life for life, a married man who commits adultery, and the man who what? أو رجل, a man حارب الله ورسوله, a man who fought against Allah and his messenger, وارتد عن الإسلام, and became an apostate. There you go, there you have it. This is Sahih al-Bukhari, same hadith I'm talking about. We also find in the hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari that apparently this is how the Prophet ﷺ either fought against those who fought him, or either fought against those who basically sometimes he also forgave people. Near Hijab ibn Abdullah, that he fought in a ghazwa towards Najd along with Allah's Messenger ﷺ, and when Allah's Messenger ﷺ returned, he too returned along with him. The time of the afternoon nap took place. Then when they were in a valley full of thorny trees, Allah's Messenger ﷺ demounted, and the people dispersed amongst the thorny trees, seeking the shade of the trees. Allah's Messenger ﷺ took shelter under a samura tree and hung his sword on it. We slept for a while when Allah's Messenger ﷺ suddenly called us, and we went to him to find a Bedouin sitting with him. Allah's Messenger ﷺ said, this Bedouin took my sword out of its sheath while I was asleep. When I woke up, the naked sword was in his hand, and he said to me, who can save you from me? I replied, Allah. Now here he is sitting. Allah's Messenger ﷺ did not punish him for that. So this person tried to kill the Prophet ﷺ, but then in other narrations of the hadith, you can understand, in other narrations of al-Bukhari, you can understand that this man, and in Sahih Muslim as well, you can find this hadith, that this man was about to kill the Prophet ﷺ, but then the Prophet took the sword from him, and he said back to him, who can save you from me now? The man said, oh Allah's Messenger, Muhammad. He did not say Allah's Messenger because he does not believe in him right now. He said, oh Muhammad, forgive me for this. The Prophet says, are you going to become Muslim? The man says, no, but please do not. The man also said, I will not speak to anyone about the plan or where you are, so that they can come plot to kill you, and etc. So the Prophet ﷺ forgave him for this. So as long as the man, he was upright, and then later on in the times he became Muslim, not at this same event, but later on he accepted Islam. Also in regards to the pagans, Ibn Abbas tells us in Sahih al-Bukhari hadith, Ibn Abbas tells us, narrated Ibn Abbas, the pagans were of two kinds as regards their relationship to the Prophet Muhammad and the believers. Some of them were those with whom the Prophet was at war and used to fight against, and they used to fight him. The others were those with whom the Prophet ﷺ made a treaty, and neither did the Prophet ﷺ fight them, nor did they fight him. Okay, as you can see here as well, عن ابن عباس كان المشركون على منزلتين من النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم والمؤمنين. كانوا مشركي أهل حرب يقاتلهم ويقاتلونه، ومشركي أهل عهد لا يقاتلهم ولا يقاتلونه. Okay, There you have. لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم إن الله يحب المقسطين. So it says here, Allah does not forbid you from those who do not fight you because of religion and do not expel you from your homes from being righteous towards them and acting justly towards them. Indeed, Allah loves those who act justly. The second verse, which means Allah only forbids you from those who fight you because of religion and expel you from your homes and aid in your expulsion, forbids that you make allies of them, and whoever makes allies of them, then it is those who are the wrongdoers.
Sister, you said the Quran says that a person who is born as a Muslim and he changes his religion, he should put to death. Sister, I don't know of any verse in the Quran. You point out in the Quran, there is no such verse in the Quran talking about that a person who is a Muslim and then who changes his faith, he should be put to death. But there are certain rulings. But if you go back to the history, the seerah of the Prophet, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we know that when the Prophet went to Medina, there was one Sahaba who came and said that when the Prophet said, go and kill these kafirs, they are causing problems, they are the enemies. So one of the Sahaba said that please forgive my brother. And the Prophet didn't kill him. And later on that person accepted Islam. So it's not a general rule that any person who is a Muslim who becomes a murtad, he has to be put to death. The ruling is, if a person who is a Muslim, who becomes a murtad, who changes his faith and propagates against the religion of Islam, then the penalty is death. And this is in most of the countries. For example, if in the country of India, there is a citizen of India who shares the secret prints of the Indian army with the enemy, the Indian law will say he should be put to death or life imprisonment. This is the same law in America, same in UK for apostasy. The same law that is there, that if you sell some secret of the country, either death penalty or life imprisonment. So in Islam, it is not a normal ruling that a person who is a Muslim, when he becomes a non-Muslim, he should be put to death. Only if he propagates against Islam and conspires against Islam, then is the ruling of death, sister.
Not only we kill you, we eat you.
يا هدي يا بشير يا طبيب